So I'm Kiana. You may know me as Key to Health. Why are we here? I think there's going to be some sort of release. Number one, I feel like one of the best benefits that I felt during this whole release was there's so much freedom in the release. Because you're no longer in bondage to the pain, to whatever your situation is. I felt free because now I am open to talk, share, and a little more transparent. So yeah, honestly, I think it's time. So, I've expressed wanting to talk for a very long time, but I think that with me praying, God gave me the right time, wanting to do things in order. I don't think he was ready for me to do it, but I think now is time because he saw fit for this to happen. And I feel different in talking about it. Like, I feel like not only do I want to help other people, because that has always been my agenda, to help and to serve, but I think it's real now. Like, there's a sense of the feeling that it's real, like, it's sincere. So it's all in God's time, and I wanted to make sure that it was him, and I think that it's him.
Yeah. Are you comfortable with talking about your divorce?
Yes, I am. I am. The time, the freedom behind having the time and it being time, and me making peace with it. Because I feel like over the last 6 to 7 months, my prayers have changed toward it. And it wasn't intentional. Like, I didn't go in saying, I'm about to pray for this, or I'm gonna pray like this. It was more like just the verbiage of my prayers started to change. And it was like, give me peace, God. Let me be okay with the release, God. And so I feel like during that time is when things started to change and my feelings toward divorce start to change, because now I'm accepting it. Before, I didn't want to accept it. I wanted to fight for it. But I'm like, well, maybe it's not God's will, and I want to stay in God's will. So, yeah, I'm comfortable. So I think there's stages, because in the beginning, it was so embarrassing. So embarrassing, so much that I didn't even know how to carry myself in public, because I felt like everyone was looking for me, one, to be torn up, torn down, 2, looking for him, 3, expecting me to give up. And it really put me in a place of shame for a second. I just wanted, at one point, I'm like, just come back so we can have that picture. You know what I mean? But when you peel back the layers, you notice that it's so much bigger than the picture. It's so much bigger than the picture. So, yes, I was very embarrassed in the beginning, very embarrassed. So within peeling back the layers of the whole situation, I feel like I had to now look inside of me. Who is Kiana? What do you stand for? Whose are you? And once I remembered whose I was, I can walk in who I am. And that really helped me with saying, my trial does not ultimately make me. It's not the end all be all. So then, little by little, the embarrassment, the shame, it began to go away, and I kept my head up. Kept my head up.
How has your faith helped you not hate your ex-husband?
So the day he left, I went in my closet and I said, God, it's me and you. I don't want to go through this again. So teach me how to walk through this the right way. Because it's easy for us to go out and do something crazy, date somebody else, or whatever. But I wanted to do it this time. This particular time felt different. And I knew that something else was attached to this time. And so with that being said, I went in prayer, heavy, deep prayer. God, it's me and you. I can't do this without you. I don't want to hate. And remember, I know who God is to me. And God is a God of love. So I had to, again, go in prayer and ask God, who are you to me? You're a God of love to me. So if you intended for this to happen, it's not out of hatred. So I can't hate him because that is also your son. So if we're all attached, I gotta walk just like Jesus did. People hated him, spit on him, but he still loved them. And that had to be my posture.
Yeah.
Whew. It was March 16th, 2019. So this March made 3 years. So that's 3 years of getting up every day, someone's wife, but also rejected. That was being a leader and leading without bleeding. That was being a mother in a household that was being broken, but I still had to mother and nurture my kid, all while feeling abandoned, alone, rejected, not so worthy, not so loved. So it was definitely a trying time, but 3.5 years is a long time. It's a long time.
Tell yourself just to keep going until you got to this place where you are now, where you're talking about it.
I kept in the forefront that God is with me, even during the bad times. And that through my persecution, I have to persevere. That I could not stop because there were so many people attached to me, right? So every morning I have to get up in front of a bunch of women and then on my social handles to encourage and motivate. So not only am I doing that to them, but I'm also taking my own advice. So it was very, very hard. Don't get me wrong. There was multiple times when I cried my way to work and then I had to pat my face to hide puffy eyes and to put worship music on so that I could be sure to be lifted right before, I get in front of my girls. So it was definitely trying. It was definitely hard, but I'm still standing.
What was that like for you, going through so much pain and yet still somehow almost like covering your husband while you felt abandoned, you felt rejected, when you could have been destroying his name, you chose to just handle this in private?
Because ultimately I'm a wife and a mother first. So I had to keep that first, keep the main thing. And so my role was to make sure that he's covered, even in the midst of him mistreating me. That does not mean that I can't fulfill my role. And a lot of times people do that out of feelings, but I was basing my, way of living or way of doing this or handling it off of logic. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So those are spirits. So what do we do with spirits? We go in prayer, right? Because we can't physically fight them. So I'm not going to physically go on social media to bash him out. There's still, to this day, no love lost. It just didn't work out. And so if I had to, walk myself through therapy, walk myself through, saying, Kiana, everything's going to be okay, this is not the end of the world, then I had to do that in how I had to do it. And that was God's way. I didn't want to do it the worldly way, or bashing him and talking bad. It's okay. It takes two to build a relationship. And we both built it together, and now I'm rebuilding me while covering him, making sure that I'm fulfilling my wifely duties how God intended a wife to be. Yes, he gave me a group. I have a tight circle. Spines, my lifeline. They edify, encourage, motivate, inspire. You being one. Like, you know, I needed godly counsel because, again, I wanted to do this the right way. So hard. It all boils down to you pouring into you. Because for me, all while going through that, I still expected him to pour into me and to be there for me. And logically, it can't happen. You're separated. You know, you can't expect the person you're separated from to pour into you and speak life into you. They're doing the total opposite. So I had to dig inside of Kiana. Like, that was my goal. Like, God, this is me and you now. Heal me. So we have to get out of, I guess it's the expectations of others and just really, really lean into God. Like, I know it sounds so easy, but it's not. It's hard. It is very, very hard, but it can be done. And I'm a living testimony. So I feel like you have to say or make it up in your mind that you're going to get through it. And you're going to lean into whomever God sent your way to help you go through this and not so much look for it from your spouse or your ex-spouse. I guess because you're one, you know, to become one, and you're trying to still operate in that same manner when you're really by yourself. And so I feel like the best thing to do is to really dig into you. You really got to find your vice, your thing. And, you know, outside of my relationship with God, it is working out. That's my form of therapy. I purge a lot. I'd rather work out by myself because 9 times out of 10, my worship music is on, or a sermon is on, or I'm just praying my way through it. So whether I'm locking in for that 45 to an hour in prayer, or I'm feeding myself with something that's going to heal me inside, you know? I remember being in my closet, I'm gonna get teary, but I remember being in my closet and asking God, why me? Because this just felt so hard for little old me. And he answered, it's not about you. It's so much bigger than me. That's very selfish, you know? There's a calling on my life, and if I had to give it one word, it would just be to serve. And now I know that there's so many different ways of serving, but it's evident this is my way of serving. And as a teacher or some sort of a leader, you're gonna have to have experience. And if I'm gonna be dealing with women that have, or that is going through a trial or tribulation, I'm going to need the experience to help them get through. And in that moment, I felt the change within me, because then I was aware of, or I had a sense of, my purpose. And so people ask me, like, how were you able to do this? God. Nobody but God. Because I'm doing this for him. And Jesus lives in me. And I'm not operating on my own. And many days, if I was in my flesh, I wouldn't get up to do any of this. But again, that's selfish. And so if I remember my why, it'll keep me moving.
Do you want to remarry?
Oh my gosh, I want to remarry like today. Like right now, I would rather be married. I want to be married because I'm going to love like I've never been hurt before. And I know that my destiny is not tied to whomever left. So God still has that burning desire in me to marry. Yes, I want to be remarried. Yeah. I thought about this the other day, and I think that one of the biggest things that I have to remember is because I'm healing, which means that I've been through some stuff, I'm not going to feed the broken part or the old broken part of Kiana. So, I can say that with priors, I might have fed the broken piece of me. My dad passed, so I'm looking for that nurture. Or, I'm rejected, so spirits recognize spirits. So now we both two rejected people, trying to hold on to that, fulfill that. But that's a void that God has to fill. And so I feel like because I'm walking through a healing process, I am now looking for whole. So there's no more void feeling, right? So I'm not going to look for a man to fill the void. God is going to fill that void, and he's ultimately going to send a man that is going to love me like Christ loved the church, because I'm going to live my life according to the word. There's no more, fix that, you could fix that, I can't fix it. And I think that, and this is something that I realized just recently, because I'm naturally a teacher, I see people and we may have a connection, and it's like, I could fix that. I have it. I have the what can, figure this part out. And I don't want to do that. That's not my job. And I think that is a part of why I fell short before. So no more filling voids. No, Jesus. You can cut that part, but no Jesus. No Jesus. Go ahead.